What a crazy week it has been in the NFL. What a crazy week it's been in general. Welcome back to the Colts Brawl podcast, guys. I am your host, Michael Terrazas. Today, it's going to be only me. Cody is going to be out. He will be back next week. But for today, it's going to be me and you guys, all right? So... Man, what a week has been. Let's dive into it, man. First, let's talk about some of the Colts and some other things going on in the AFC South. So, Jurrell Casey is leaving the Tennessee Titans. Well, he's being traded from the Tennessee Titans to Denver for a 7th-round pick. That's a significant loss for the Titans. Jurrell Casey is a leader of their defense. He's a very good defensive tackle. Now, maybe they're banking on that guy they drafted last year in Jeffrey Simmons. Who knows? But nonetheless, Tennessee, right now, Logan Ryan, he's a free agent. Jurrell Casey is gone. So their defense has taken a little bit of a hit. But, man, when it comes to Houston, what in the world is Houston doing? What is Houston doing, guys? Bill O'Brien, mainly. Forget the Texans. Bill O'Brien. He has traded away Laramie Tunsil, Jadeveon Clowney. He has traded away DeAndre Hopkins. He traded for Kenny Stills. He traded for David Johnson. I don't understand what Bill O'Brien is trying to do with the Houston Texans. They have no draft capital. They're losing talent. I mean, Laramie Tunsil is a good pickup, but you traded away a top 3 wide receiver in this league for a sack lunch, for a running back who is not who he used to be after that horrible injury. And I mean, what in the world are you doing? I mean, as a Colts fan, I love it. I love it. Of course, Michael Irvin came on the NFL Network and talked about, the rift that was going on between Bill O'Brien and DeAndre Hopkins. He wanted a new contract. They didn't want to give it to him, which is stupid. How do you not give a top 3 wide receiver who made nothing but game-winning plays for you last year? How do you not let him get the contract he's earned? So all I got to say, they re-signed, or they didn't re-sign. They signed Randall Cobb, who is still a good receiver. But right now, I don't think they have a clear-cut number 1 receiver right now. Kenny Stills, Randall Cobb, Will Fuller, Kiki Kuti. I mean, who's going to be the number 1 receiver? I don't know. Will Fuller is always injured. Kenny Stills, he'll see a boost in production. Kiki Kuti, he's a lightning rod. And then Randall Cobb, we don't know about. It's looking good in Houston for us. They lost DJ Reader, their defensive tackle. So, that's a big part of their defense. That's it on the Houston Texans part. I mean, hell, go ahead and give Bill O'Brien a 10-year extension, please, so we can continue to see him burn down the Houston Texans. Moving on to the Jacksonville Jaguars. Man, what aren't they doing? They traded away Nick Foles to Chicago. They traded away Calais Campbell. I mean, you talk about losing some talent, man. Yannick Ngakoue, he's franchise tag. Not really a whole lot of news coming out of his trade market. So right now, their defense is getting a little bit suspect. AJ Boye, he was recently traded. So teams are losing talent. Now, getting to the Colts, they have we already knew that he wasn't returning, but just recently today, Eric Ebron is going to the Pittsburgh Steelers. 2 years, $12 million is not the contract we were all expecting, or even he wasn't expecting for himself. 2 years, $12 million. His projected next contract was supposed to be 3 years, $8 million a year. Instead, he gets a 2-year, $12 million deal. That tells me that his market was so dry. His market was so dry. The Cowboys didn't go after him. The Jaguars didn't go after him. No one went after him except the Pittsburgh Steelers, who do have a need for playmaking at tight end. Because I believe his name is McDonald. McDonald just doesn't do anything for Pittsburgh. So Ben Roethlisberger gets another weapon. I mean, when Eric Ebron is, in a groove, he is definitely capable of breaking a game open. That ugly divorce happened in Indianapolis. None of us expected him to come back, so Eric Ebron is gone now. Losing some versatility is always going to raise needs at positions, and losing Joe Haeg to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers is going to, raise some questions on the offensive line's depth. Make no mistake about it. Our offensive line is still a top 3 offensive line in the league. Now we just got to bring in depth. What does this mean for LaRaven Clark? Does he get re-signed, or does Chris Ballard look to, sign someone else, or does he want to draft someone? Because losing Joe Haeg, he knows all the spots. He's played every other spot except for center, and I'm pretty sure he knows how to play that. So what does this mean? We got to start bringing in some depth on the offensive line. Josh Andrews, he's still here. That's a good thing. But LaRaven Clark, maybe you draft a Terrence Steele, a Trey Adams. That's always in the cards. I would definitely, go for drafting. You already needed to draft a guy to sit behind Anthony Costanzo, learn from Anthony Costanzo, and then take over later. Now you need more depth. You always need a guy on your team that can start games. Now I'm happy for Joe Haeg. He got more money. He's getting the starting role that he deserves. He was just on a talented offensive line here in Indianapolis. So now that he has moved on, we got to start looking at some options, probably left in free agency, not a whole lot going on there, and then in the draft. Is it possible that we draft 2 tackles in the draft? That's a whole nother discussion, okay? So we'll save that, I guess, for a little bit later on. Now, we did make a couple signings, big signings. What I really do want to talk about is the first one, Phillip Rivers. Let's talk about Phillip Rivers. Now, Colts Nation, I know you're divided. Some of you are accepting him. Some of you are not accepting him. And that's understandable. It's understandable. But you got to know who we're getting. You have to. You can't just look at the stats and say, oh, no, he's just horrible. Same thing with Jameis Winston. Jameis Winston, no doubt, has the arm talent of a true franchise quarterback. No doubt. The accuracy, the arm strength, everything. It's just his decision making that kills him. Same thing with Phillip Rivers. Although he is older, he's losing a little bit of strength in that arm. It's those late game decisions when he's down, he forces the ball, tries to be a hero in the worst possible situations. He was not behind a very good offensive line in San Diego or in LA, which resulted in a lot of dumping the ball down to Austin Eckler. But man, you can't deny that he is an upgrade over Jacoby Brissett. He just is. I've looked at him this season. I've looked at more of his film this past season and the season before, and I see talent that will elevate the Indianapolis Colts. Phillip Rivers is our quarterback, okay? Now, they still got to go out in training camp, compete, and earn the starting job, okay? People are just already sold that Phillip Rivers is going to start game one. Jacoby Brissett is still here. For some reason, Brian Hoyer is still here. Still got a Chad Kelly camp body. Phillip Rivers, what he's able to do, he is smart. He's got a fire under his heart. He will elevate this team. Tempo, speed, everything. He will do some good things. It's just about those turnovers. Those turnovers are what's going to get us killed in games. That's what's going to hurt us. If he's behind a solid offensive line, he's comfortable with Frank Reich, he's comfortable with Nick Sirianni. That's the connection from the San Diego days. That's the connection. He's familiar with the system. So now it's time to build a rapport with T.Y., Paris, Zach, the for sure wide receivers that are going to be on this roster, and whoever else they bring in. He's going to find out about old Mr. Reliable, Jack Doyle. Phillip Rivers has the talent to get the Colts back to the playoffs. I'm not ready to say Super Bowl. No, because this season, if the Colts had a average quarterback, I think they had a chance to make the playoffs. Jacoby Brissett played like a below average quarterback. I love JB, man. I love Jacoby Brissett. Don't get me wrong. He just did not play well. It's not about one half of the season versus the other. You got to put the whole thing together. And I know Chris Ballard has come out and said it was a tale of two halves. But in both halves, there was a similarity in inconsistency and holding the ball too long. Sometimes that can't be coached. That's just something that the quarterback either has it or he doesn't. That's my take on everything with Jacoby Brissett. Now, we're going to get into him a little later on, but staying on Phillip Rivers, look, in this division, he's going against Gardner Minshew and Ryan Tannehill. Deshaun Watson is the best quarterback in this draft. But when you look at all four teams, of course, people are going to look at the Titans, who just went to the AFC Championship game. They lost their right tackle. That was a big loss. The right tackle, Jake Conklin, his value is underrated. His value is very underrated. I don't understand what people, they don't look at Jack Conklin as a very good tackle. He's a very good tackle. He settles that side of the right side of the line down. I'm not too sure if I'm buying into Tennessee, guys. I don't know if they were a one-year wonder, if they just rode a wave of momentum. But, man, the way that our teams are looking right now, guys, I think I probably right now, I'd still have to go with Tennessee because they have some reliable guys in their passing game. They do. They got that running game. They still got a good defense. With our defense, we are young. We're getting better. We're getting more mature. We're adding talent. We'll get to that in a little bit. We got one of the best offensive line in football. But after this season, all these injuries, inconsistent play at wide receiver, I got to give the nod to Tennessee. But make no mistake about it. If Chris Ballard can get a couple of great wide receivers, then I think the Colts should be the favorites to win the AFC South. They should. No bones about it. I'm not trying to be a homer. I'm not trying to be biased. Guys, I am giving you my 2 cents. When I talk about the Colts, I try to be as unbiased as possible. But right now, in this moment, I gotta take Tennessee. I have to. They've proven more than the Colts have. That's just the way it is. Mike Vrabel is becoming a very, very great coach. Very good. He's undefeated against Bill Belichick so far, 2-0. He just sent Tom Brady home and packing from the New England Patriots. Don't forget about Derrick Henry. That's in the AFC South. Now, Phillip Rivers. He's our guy. He's our guy. I can't wait. I can't wait to see him. I can't wait to see him. Now, staying at the quarterback position. When it comes to guys like Chad Kelly and Brian Hoyer, I don't necessarily understand. When I tweet out there, I get these mentions about Chad Kelly. I mean, guys, I don't know what y'all are seeing in Chad Kelly. I really don't, because he flashed a couple times in preseason. Guys, that was preseason. The guys he was on the field with, they're in the XFL right now. Or they probably aren't in the NFL at all. That's who he went against. And trust me, I saw the flashes. He played good. But we have to see more before we just come out and say, oh, Chad Kelly is the answer. I got to see more from him. I think he is a good camp body. He will add good competition. I think he has a chance to stay with the Colts. As, a practice squad guy, if an injury happens, he can come onto the 53-man roster. That's the way I see it. That's just how it is. That's just how it is, how I see it. Now, when it comes to Brian Hoyer, I'm going to make this crystal clear. Cut him, fire him, rebuke him, do whatever you got to do, Chris Ballard, to get rid of Brian Hoyer. Save you some cash in free agency. Right now, I believe the Colts are standing at, I want to say about roughly $21 million left in cap space, I want to say. That's how much I believe he has left. Roughly $21 million. There's still a couple of pieces you might want to add. Nelson Aguilar, he's still out there. I still consider him a good piece to come to Indy. I would definitely welcome him on coming to Indy. I'd welcome him. Open arms. Definitely. Now, oh man, it's getting crazy, guys. It is getting crazy. It is really getting crazy out here. So we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, I'm going to discuss Jacoby Brissett and our new star defensive tackle, DeForest Buckner, when we come back. Welcome back to the show, guys. So now comes the question. We've already signed Phillip Rivers, got Brian Hoyer still on the roster for some reason. We still have Chad Kelly. We still also have Jacoby Brissett. Earlier this week, I sent out a tweet saying we have two quarterbacks making $16 million or more. That is starting quarterback money. Now, the Colts have already come out and said they're open to keeping Jacoby Brissett. I believe this season he will make about, I want to say about $8 million, I want to say. The Colts can trade that. They can be smart and trade it. Jacoby Brissett, I believe he does have some good trade value. What can you get back for him? Hey, you could probably sneak out a 4th round or a 5th round pick. Chicago just got Nick Foles, so they're out of the picture. I believe the only team that you could probably trade him to is New England. And it makes sense. Bill Belichick drafted him in the 3rd round. They traded him. And hey, if I'm Chris Ballard, I'd make the call. Hey, Bill, what do you think about Jacoby? You want him? I think Chris Ballard can get a 4th rounder out of Bill Belichick, considering the fact that they have a glaring need at quarterback. That would be great. Jacoby Brissett, like I've said, I love him. And I would not be surprised if he's still on the Colts roster by training camp. I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't. I'm kind of actually expecting that, to be honest with you guys. What does his trade market look like as of right now? It's still free agency. Heck, it might as well be the trade deadline since everybody's making trades. But, man, Jacoby Brissett could be on the move here soon, guys. He could. But I'm not going to sit here and give you false hope. I am expecting him to still be on this roster by training camp. Still on this roster. I just wanted to get that out of the way right now, guys. And now it's time to talk about our new star. Probably the best acquisition in free agency so far, DeForest Buckner. The Colts have quietly been in negotiations with San Francisco ever since around the time of the Super Bowl regarding a DeForest Buckner trade. Where did I get that from? Ian Rappaport from NFL Network. This trade has been in the works for 3 months. 3 months. This whole time, all of us have been speculating what to do with the 13th overall pick. Now, I've heard little talk about trading it, but 98% of the time, Javon Kinlaw, Jordan Love, Jerry Jeudy, those are the 3 main names I always hear. Go draft those guys. Go draft pass rusher. Go draft quarterback. You need a wide receiver. And this whole entire time, Chris Ballard was already thinking, I am going to get DeForest Buckner. That is crazy. Chris Ballard does not lie to us. He literally tells us what's going to happen, how he's going to do it. And it comes and we act like we're surprised by it. Whether if it's in a good or bad way, we are surprised by it all the time. Even though Chris Ballard tells us what's going to happen, what he's probably working on. When he was first hired on, we are going to be very cautious in free agency. We're going to build this thing through the draft. We're going to add talent. Raise your own. And guess what? He did that. He signed some good players, Jabal Sheard, Danico Autry. He signed some good guys. He definitely did. Make no mistake about it. And he kept on adding talent. Then last year, he told us, well, there's a possibility we could trade back in the first round with the 26th overall pick. There's a possibility we can trade back. And guess what? Chris Ballard traded back. He got 2 second-round picks out of it. And what do you know? Now, this season, he says, I believe the roster is ready for a big-name superstar, is ready for a big-name free agent. Now, it doesn't mean, he's taking on an identity problem player. He's taking on a locker room problem. That's not what he means. He's taking on DeForest Buckner, a all-pro defensive tackle, signing him to a 5-year, roughly $105 million deal, locking down probably the second or third best defensive tackle in this league. I've been hearing what all the experts are saying, and the only defensive tackle that they say is better than DeForest Buckner is Aaron Donald. Do we understand, as a fan, as someone who loves the Colts, do we understand who we are getting for the 13th overall pick? I'm surprised that San Francisco didn't ask for a first and a third. That's what I'm shocked about. Give us a first and a fourth round pick. That's what I'm shocked about. It only took the 13th overall pick. Now, San Francisco, right now, they don't have a second, third, or fourth round pick. So they just might use that 13th overall pick to get some more draft capital. But as for the Colts, DeForest Buckner in the 3 technique. Right now, Justin Houston, Danico Autry, and DeForest Buckner. Tell me that you don't get excited about that. I'm certainly excited about it. We have some dudes on defense. Darius Leonard, DeForest Buckner. Come on, man. I'm excited. I'm ready for the season to start tomorrow. Right now, in the next hour, in the next minute. I want the kickoff to go on. That's how I'm excited for DeForest Buckner to be in the horseshoe. Because when you look at how this defense is constructed, Chris Ballard has preached it. He has said it. This 3 technique drives this scheme, this defense. It is the heart and soul of this defense. And what does he do? He goes out and gets one of the best defensive players in the league. Chris Ballard, man, oh my Lord. I love me some Ballard. I love this time of year. It's Ballard time. Look at your watch right now. Look at your watch right now. It's Ballard time. It's CB time. CB time. Come on now. Let's go. I'm hyped for Chris Ballard. Now, let me calm down a bit. It's not time to turn up yet. But, yeah. Man, guys, I'm really excited. Now, when you look at this defense, you still have a question at the other defensive end spot. Jabal Sheard is still a free agent. If you were to bring him back, I'm kind of torn on Jabal Sheard, guys, because if we bring him back, I want it to be in a backup role in rundown situations. You need someone that can rush the passer. And I've thought about this more and more. That's what I want. But if Chris Ballard re-signs Jabal Sheard and he's our starting defensive end, I won't be mad. Because not only do you have Justin Houston, a Kamoko Toure, a Ben Banogu, Danico Autry, you just added DeForest Buckner. So maybe that's where that extra pass rush element is going to come from. Because you already know OCs, they're going to point out DeForest Buckner before they point out Justin Houston, Danico Autry, or Jabal Sheard. But that's where I want another defensive end. Because if you're going to be getting one-on-ones the whole time while Buckner is taking on double teams, you got to be able to win those one-on-ones. And Jabal Sheard, he's a good player. But in the pass rushing department, I don't necessarily think he offers a lot to the Colts. That's my opinion. I wanted Vic Beasley. He's no longer here. He's going to Tennessee. I wanted him. Shelby Harris, he's still out there, but that's a defensive tackle spot. We let go Marcus Hunt, so that's a good move. Save some cap space. You still got Tyquan Lewis. Some Colts fans might forget the name Tyquan Lewis. You still got Grover Stewart. So as of right now, Grover Stewart, Trevon Coley, Tyquan Lewis, DeForest Buckner, Danico Autry. That's your depth chart right now as of right now, I like Darrell Taylor coming out of the draft. He does offer some good pass rushing ability. He's good in the run game. I think you can get him with that 44th pick, or if he can slide to the third round. I do like that Darrell Taylor. Now, I also sent a tweet out earlier. What do you guys want to see the Colts do at defensive end to fill that spot? Go draft someone, go sign someone, or is that person already here? Now, Ben Banogu. He can definitely fill that void. Like I've said, he's still adjusting to his hand being in the ground because in college at TCU, he didn't really have his hand in the ground too much. He was standing up. But that athleticism, with that athleticism he has, he can bend. He can do certain types of things. In free agency, if Chris Ballard is banking on Kamoko Toure or Ben Banogu at that defensive end spot, I'm all for it. That's why you drafted those two guys in the second round. I'm all for it. If Chris Ballard came and said, you know what, we're not making a move at that position. I do like the young guys on this roster, and I want to give them a chance to compete because that's what I brought them here for as second round picks. I would love it. I kind of think that Ben Banogu might just beat out Kamoko Toure if that were to happen because Ben Banogu offers more in the run game, and he's a good pass rusher. Kamoko Toure, we already know about his speed, his bend, a specialty pass rusher. Third down situations. Justin Houston is a year older. Once he leaves, then Kamoko Toure can take over that spot. That's how I look at it. With DeForest Buckner, behind him, Anthony Walker, Darius Leonard, Kari Willis, when he comes down in the box. You better believe DeForest Buckner is going to be opening holes in that offensive line, drawing double teams, moving them out the way, making it free. Like Darius Leonard needed any more help. Like he needed any more help to be great. Darius Leonard is, if I'm an expert right now and I'm looking at the Colts, I am looking at Darius Leonard as my favorite for Defensive Player of the Year. That's how I look at it. Because he is going to have so many tackles, so many sacks. He is going to be stuffing so many runs. It is crazy. And I don't want to just give all the shine to Darius Leonard. I'm going to talk about Anthony Walker too. Because what a player Anthony Walker has turned himself into from a 7th round draft pick from Northwestern to now a starting middle linebacker in the NFL. He is so good. He's a hidden gem that people don't talk about when it comes to Chris Ballard's draft classes. He's smart. He's athletic. He makes plays. He fills that area of the middle of the field. While Darius Leonard is running wild. We can't forget about Bobby Okereke. We can't forget about him. Guys, I'm not sure if y'all are ready to run through a brick wall hearing me talk about this team right now. But man, guys, I sure am. Just thinking about it. In our secondary, Pierre Desir, Malik Hooker, Kari Willis, Rock Ya-Sin, Kenny Moore at nickel. Anthony Walker, Darius Leonard, linebackers. And then if one of them needs to come off the field, here comes Bobby Okereke. Then you look at the defensive line. Justin Houston, who seems to still be serviceable. Danico Autry. You don't think Justin Houston and DeForest Buckner are going to help Danico Autry's production? DeForest Buckner. And then that fourth spot, a draft pick, Ben Banogu or Kamoko Toure. This defense, guys, is about to take the next step. Last year, they were a top 15 defense. Now, on the year, I think they finished as like a 17th ranked defense because that end of season was just bad. But with DeForest Buckner, this elevates this defense with length, speed, strength into the top 10. Colts are about to have a top 10 defense. Now let's talk about the rest of the needs on this team. You still need wide receiver. I'd like to think you still want to address quarterback with a young guy. Probably still need some interior depth, some defensive end depth too. Maybe an extra linebacker and corner and someone to back up Kari Willis. You know, Eric Berry, he's still out there. Not sure how much money he's going to go for. Now, when it comes to corner is interesting. You got Rock Ya-Sin, Kenny Moore, Pierre Desir, Quincy Wilson, Marvell Tell. Marvell Tell showed some good potential last year, matching up with Juju Smith-Schuster, Cortland Sutton. Remember, Cortland Sutton was demolishing Rock Ya-Sin. And then Marvell Tell came in and 2 incompletions happened on Cortland Sutton. Then Quincy Wilson. This is a huge year for Quincy Wilson, the biggest year of his career. It's time to nut up or shut up. Does he make the roster or is he a trade piece for a 7th round pick? Or you can get more elite talent and get younger. What about Pierre Desir? Does he have any kind of a trade market? Now, I'm not sure if this idea has been floated out there enough, but I think you can get a good 4th, 3rd rounder for Pierre Desir. And then let's say go after a Noah Iganagade or the guy from Auburn, or go after a Trayvon Diggs. So now your starting lineup is Trayvon Diggs, Rock Ya-Sin, Kenny Moore. Imagine that secondary. Malik Hooker, Kari Willis in the backfield. Ooh, man. Just thinking about that gets me hyped. But those are some questions that you can answer at corner. You can. Then when you look at the safety position, George Odom, Malik Hooker, Kari Willis, we're good there. But we just need that one extra piece. We need an extra piece. What do we want to do, guys? Joe Haig leaving. That adds a little bit more. Colts still got roughly about $22 million in cap space. What do we do for the rest? So, guys, I think that's going to end it here. I don't really have anything else to talk about. It's been a crazy week, with all this stuff. If your town hasn't already, mine is already shutting down bars, restaurants, only delivery or takeout or drive-through is available. Things are getting crazy. A curfew is probably going to get enforced here in the next 24 hours or so. I just, advise you guys, practice good hygiene. I don't know why y'all wouldn't have good hygiene now, but practice good hygiene, have good hygiene, protect yourselves, wash your hands. If you don't have any, or if you do, use hand sanitizer, whatever, guys. I'm just, let's just get together. Let's pray, guys. Let's just ask for God's protection in this time of need, guys. That's something that I'm going to encourage y'all to do. So calling it a day here for the Colts Brawl podcast. I am your host, Michael Terrazas, and we will see you next week. Have a good one.